This is the Hunter Star quilt block, and it is absolutely gorgeous. Let me tell you, I love this one. This is one of those quilt blocks that it's worth choosing a really great fabric to go with it. And before I get into it, I want to tell you, the fabric I'm using is called Marbled Earth. That's the collection. Here's a piece of it still that I had. It comes in all different colors. It's a Benartex fabric. We will link to it in the description, but I have just fallen in love with this this fabric collection, and it works beautifully for this type of a special quilt block. So this thing didn't just happen on its own, okay? I used a tool. It's called the Hunter Star Trim Tool. It's one of those wonderful things that Creative Grids makes. You know, it's one of these templates. I'm going to lay it on a piece of white fabric here so that you can probably see some of the images on it a little better. First of all, instructions and sizes of all the things you need are in this little pamphlet. I used the instructions from start to finish on 2 separate occasions and 2 separate weeks just to test out the instructions. I loved them. They were perfect, so they were easy to follow too. That is a plus. This trim tool is going to give you 3 options, 3 different sizes for the finished block. You can do a 16-inch, 14-inch, or 12-inch finished quilt block. So I have chosen letter B. This is a 14. Now this one's a 16-inch, and look, I did a smaller one, a 14-inch, out of another color of that Marbled Earth. This was the 16-inch. So you basically look on the template here, and it tells you what size you need to cut your pieces and all that to end up with this beautiful shape. So I'm going to get rid of this for now, and we'll set this aside. And let's talk about what you really need to make this thing. You need a couple of different shapes, and they're very simple. You need a couple of large squares, and then you're going to also cut a couple of rectangles. Now the exact sizes will be on the tool, and that's partly why it's so valuable. I need 4, I think it's 2 of each of these, and then 12 of each of these rectangles. So the rectangles are what's interesting because you start to work with them, and for the rectangles we're going to take 2 at a time and put them on top of each other. And you're going to use this trim tool, and I'm going to line up the size I chose with this and just lop the ear right off of that. You do that to a lot of your rectangles. And then similarly, you're going to do that to your printed side. You'll put right sides together, and you will also lay the trim tool on there, and you will lop that ear off, okay? So once we've done that, you're going to then take some of your other rectangles and you're going to turn them into these trapezoid shapes. Same basic principle. You're going to lop the ear off here, but then you can use the other side of this trim tool for the other side, and you lop that off. It's really quite simple. Now the interesting part comes in at this point, because you're going to take these strangely shaped things. For instance, I'm going to start with the white trapezoid here. I'm going to put 2 of these newly shaped rectangles on it. But what you're going to do is get some of this glue stick. This is the purple kind that dries clear. It's just a water-soluble Elmer's glue. You can get it from the dollar store or wherever. I just drew some purple lines on here from the glue stick, and you're going to just match this up here and lay these on there like that and like this. And then we'll do the same with the other side here with the white on there and white on here. So you do this with all your rectangles, and I'm going to toss these aside because we've got some finished samples to show you. They look like this. And you're going to stitch a 1/4-inch seam on those angles once they've dried. Well, once you have done that, you just open these up, right? Open both of these up. Simple enough. When you do that, you get these shapes. So they're still very pretty, and now comes the interesting part. Let me get rid of these for a moment, because I'm going to slide these up on the table. We've finished with our rectangles, and now we move to our large squares, okay? Now I have a print on top of a white right here. You're going to use this tool again, and you're just going to measure out, you're going to find the lines on here to help you draw the diagonal line. So would you hand me that cutter, please, the rotary cutter? Thank you, sir. So we're just going to cut across here and cut these in half, because these now are going to help form the whole quarter of this quilt block right here. So when I take, here's my strip of rectangles, here's that strip of rectangles, and I just match this over here, I'm going to stitch this across here and open it up. That's all there is to that. And same with the white, stitch across here, and I'm going to open that up like that. It looks complicated, I promise you it's not, because what we end up with are these two pieces. And to put it simply, you're just going to put these two things together, fold them over, stitch them, open it up, and you've got it. That's what this is. This is a quarter of the entire quilt block. Now another handy thing about this tool is it has little markings on the inside, and you may not be able to see it on camera, but I chose letter B, the medium size. I can line up my little B's here on the inside of the square. This is my trim tool now, so I can use this to trim this block. And so if you look at the finished segment here, this is one of the four. You see that? So you just do this 4 times and you have got, honestly, a beautiful, beautiful quilt block. This is one of my favorites, I think. So the 100 Star Trim Tool, I highly recommend it. I would not demonstrate it unless I actually enjoyed it and believed in it. And believe me, I believe in this one. So I hope you will like us, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and happy sewing.